Hello and welcome to ET Now Hangouts with me, Ankita Saxena. Well, I'm back with yet another exciting episode of meaningful conversations from influencers, startup founders, latest trends, and what's hot for the weekend. Well, today I'm joined by a very special guest who has shunned the age-old norms of beauty and shattered the glass ceiling with her inspiring outlook on body positivity and fashion. Well, she is determined to change the beauty stereotypes with no filter with PKB, one Instagram post at a time. I'm in conversation with Prableen Kaur Bhomrah. Prableen, welcome to ET Now Hangouts. So good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. So Prableen, tell us, how did you get started? You know, we're living in a world which fakes it till you make it, right? And you started out by, staying away from the stereotypical ideas of beauty by showing your bare skin and embracing your curves. What got you started?
I feel I was also one of the girls who was really insecure about how my body looked, how my skin looked, because I had so much acne. I am someone that has PCOS, so hormonal acne was like a struggle. And because of that, I feel that there were a few incidences personally when I was meeting my friends, when I was meeting people in the industry and our families, our relatives, everyone constantly kept commenting on my weight, on how my skin looked, on how I should do this to change it, because the narrative was that however I am looking right now isn't good enough. So I wanted to break free from that, and I wanted to change the way I looked at myself in the mirror, because in the end I wanted to be at peace, and I really wanted to appreciate and embrace my own self the way it was.
But Prableen, when you started, weren't you apprehensive about how will people receive this? Because, social media is a place where people tend to escape, right, to beautiful places, beautiful people. Weren't you scared of showing your bare skin or, embracing your curves? What did you think about how would people react to this?
I actually, at the beginning, I didn't think of people that much. Okay. As I said, I really wanted to make sure that I was loving my body and I was loving my skin the way it was, because of the constant comments and constant negativity that was surrounded with acne, with stretch marks, with a girl being overweight, and the narratives of, oh, you won't get married if you're of this certain weight, you have to lose weight, otherwise you won't get married. I wanted to change that, and that's why I feel all of those things didn't affect me as much as I think it would have. I feel I was easily able to break out of it and just free myself from all of the negativity, because I knew what my goal was. I knew what I wanted to do, and that's why I was just consistent with it, and it didn't matter as much.
Yeah. So what is your goal?
I feel
it started out as a personal journey,
yes.
But eventually what was your goal? Did you have that in mind when you started out?
My goal essentially was to start the No Filter with PKB movement, where I wanted to show the real raw skin and the reality of social media, because as you said, whenever we see social media, we always compare ourselves to what we see. Like, oh, she's here, let me go here. Oh, she's looking like this, her skin is looking so flawless. Why don't I have a skin like that? Why is my skin not looking so flawless and so smooth? But so much of it is photoshopped and edited, and people don't know that. So I feel it was very important for me to change that. And I saw that happening over the course of years, where the brands that didn't want to work with me because I had so much acne today are talking about being filter free. So we got change in the industry as well, and I feel that's why my goal was achieved, and it's still a very long way to go. Yeah. But I feel we're in the right direction.
Because the problem is more systemic, right?
Exactly. It's the mindset.
Yes, and that is going to take time.
A lot of time. And the stereotype that's attached to it, it takes a lot for someone to break free from it. Because for so many years, ever since we were young, or I was young, I was shown the perfect body was the zero-figure body. The perfect skin was the flawless skin that had no acne, no marks. And today, when we are embracing it, we're seeing the celebrities embrace it, we're seeing all the brands embrace it. So we're going in the right direction, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, I will talk to you about those brands that you mentioned that refused to sign you up. But before that, how real or unreal do you think social media is now, from the time that you started out to now? What has changed, and what is really the kind of threat that the unrealistic standards that are being, put up on social media? what is the kind of threat they pose to, mental health and to somebody who's very impressionable?
I feel especially the teenagers, they're very impressionable and they get influenced very easily when it comes to these things. That's why I feel the brands need to be very mindful of what they're putting out, and that's why having this kind of a mindset of being real and raw really makes a very big difference. Because when I was growing up, I was not told that it was okay to have stretch marks, or it was okay to have acne and put on makeup. We were told to put on makeup to cover our acne and not the other way around.
Right.
So today it's more about, oh, I will put up makeup because I feel like it. I want to apply makeup because I feel creative. I want to show my creative side with it. It's not something that I'm using to cover my imperfections. And that's why I feel it's so important for it to be, it's so important for children and teenagers to know that it's okay to be the way you are and just work towards being the best version of yourselves, I would say. And if that is engraved in our minds very strongly, I don't think we will compare ourselves to whatever we see on social media, because that hampers our confidence so much. Yeah. We start questioning ourselves. We start thinking of the most negative outcomes of us being not enough, us not being worthy, us not being beautiful, and that should always change. Like, that's not the way we're supposed to look at ourselves.
Right. But interestingly, you create content around makeup and fashion, which is ironic because you also talk about body positivity and, you show your bare skin. So somewhere, how do you strike a balance? Because makeup and fashion is basically, or at least that is what has been put out, is to cover up your flaws. But here you're actually talking about the exact opposite. How do you strike a balance between that then?
I feel it's very important for me to make the brand understand what I stand for, and if the brand does not align with my cause and my mindset of what I want to put out in my community, then I will refrain from collaborating with that brand. So if it's related to, for example, say a makeup brand, and if they want me to, blur out my skin and create content and show that, oh, makeup looks like this, I will not do that collaboration because I don't want to put out that message. So I make sure that my face is very real and raw and it's very up close. I will show that pores are normal, acne is normal. I will show the real texture of how it looks when you put your makeup on your skin. And I feel that's why the audience also is able to connect, because they feel like, oh, we also look like this. It's completely normal to put makeup, have skin like that, and go out and face the world.
Right. So from then to now, when you started out to now, are you seeing a difference, a marked difference with the brands, the way they approach your idea of associating with them? And what is your checklist?
Of course, I feel one of the checklists is that the brands should not have these certain unrealistic expectations of putting smoothing effects or blurred effects or stuff like that.
Filters.
No filters. I never would be associated with a brand like that. That is a big no-no for me. The brand should have like a good messaging. Whenever we speak to a brand, I really want to have the creative freedom to be able to create whatever I feel is going to look and put out the right message out in the world and with my community. So those are really, really important for me whenever I'm collaborating with a brand.
So we are the show for the young and the restless. So what would you tell a young girl or a young guy who's watching this and dealing with some form of anxiety or feeling of inadequacy that has been perhaps induced by social media? Because social media has a great role to play in making somebody feel, less competent, or, even the feeling of inadequacy, and probably leading to a more mental health issue.
Yes. So, of course, I feel that when I started out, as I said, that the hate was so much, I would get death threats of...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Threats like, you should die, you look so ugly. We don't want... Yeah, we don't want to see a skin like that. A girl that has skin like this should stay at home and not leave the house. So I would and it's still... Till date, I get these comments.
Did you get a lot of hate and not support, like the kind of comments that you mentioned?
Yes, of course.
So that goes on to show how strongly and deeply entrenched that unrealistic standard of beauty is in our society.
Yes, because they want to see the glamour. They want to see, because that's what we've seen all our lives. So I feel now when someone's questioning that and changing that, it's so difficult for people to accept it. But I feel in the same retrospect, when I started doing it, I always focused on the 90 other positive comments, 90 other DMs and messages of women sitting in some village of India and saying that I could not leave the house today, but I saw your post and today I got the courage to leave the house. And even when I meet my followers, that's the maximum amount of stuff that I hear, that you gave me the confidence, you gave me the motivation to face that day. And that's the kind of change I am wanting to make. So I feel all of us at some point have been so insecure and so underconfident that we're so used to keeping up with the expectations led by society and led by our parents and our family and everyone around us. We need to break free from that, because at the end you are going to sit in front of the mirror and be like, okay, you are beautiful and you are worthy and you're not just what you look like. There's so much more to you, your education, your skills, your capability of being so emotionally strong. So all of those things also matters.
Right. Also, you spoke about trolls. How do you deal with it? And do you still get the same amount of trolling that you did when you started out?
Yes, I do. I literally do. Like the other day, I think 2-3 days ago, there was this huge paragraph that someone literally wrote of, oh, you look like, maybe I don't remember what he said. They said that you look like a cow or a buffalo, and all of these things that you're uploading on social media, the world doesn't want to see, and you should shut your account. We are going to block your account. I'm going to, you know, the amount of effort they put in just to make sure that you stop doing what you're doing is just crazy.
But that also means that they're taking notice of what you're doing and they are rattled by it.
Yes. So that's why I don't let that affect me, because that's not my goal. Like, that's not what is needing my attention right now. My goal is very clear. I want to be able to empower, give confidence, motivate people who are not able to feel confident in their body and their skin. So I'm very clear of that vision. So all of these things are just background noise, and that's why it doesn't affect me as much.
That's really great. Also, you know, a big enabler in this journey have been brands, right? Because I'm not saying that, we don't say that you don't come out with a fairness cream or whatever creams or it is that you have to manufacture. That's a billion-dollar industry. The problem is with the communication, right? The way you communicate it. Like, if only you're fair, you're lovely. Otherwise, you're not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is with the communication. But that has changed over the past few years. What has your experience been with these brands that you're endorsing? How have they evolved in your personal experience?
So I can't name the brand, but there were 2-3 brands that had reached out to me to collaborate and promote their product for skincare and for makeup. And I remember very clearly that I'd send them a picture of how my skin was looking with the product, and they said that they won't get it approved and I can't post it because I have acne on my face. So they're like, edit it, remove your acne from your face, blur out your picture, only then will we get the approval and upload it on your social media. So I was like, this is not what I want to do. And that is actually such a big shocker coming from brands, because this is I think 4.5 years ago. And when this happened, I understood that it's so deep rooted with the society, that the unrealistic expectations of looking a certain way, that it needs to break. So that was my job, to stop at least what I wanted to do. And I stopped it and I was like, I don't want to move forward with this collaboration. And I'm seeing those brands today being all inclusive, being talking about all skin inclusivity, all colors inclusivity, being filter free. So yeah, I know that we've made a difference.
So now that brings me to the question, have brands been changing the narrative?
Yes.
Or are the people now, because brands have to cater to the people, it's the people who are driving this change?
I always feel that it's the people that drive the change, because you are making the products for the audience. So if the audience wants to see a real raw face on screen and on the product and on the billboard and on TV, on cinema, then the brand has to cater to it, because in the end, that is, you are selling it for the audience. So when the audience mentality changes, when they start perceiving all the imperfections as not imperfections and as just like a part and parcel of your body, and when they start accepting it, then I think brands will follow suit.
Right, and that goes on to show the kind of change that the audience have matured.
Yes.
And for every, say, 2-3 trolls, you have 10 positive comments supporting you. But finally, Prableen, tell us, for our young content creators who also want to have a career in fashion, makeup, but also want to follow a path of body positivity and do it consciously. So it's a very cluttered market right now as far as social media is concerned. What would be your advice to them?
I feel not just related to skin positivity or body positivity, because when I started, people were talking about body positivity, but there was nobody that was talking about skin positivity.
Right.
And that's why I got the first-hand experience of how it will be when I'm posting about my acne or my scars. But I feel no matter who is starting their content creation journey on Instagram or YouTube, I feel having your own driving force and having some X factor or some niche to what you're doing, you need to stand out. So you need to understand what is that factor that is making you stand out of the cluttered audience, and that is going to be your driving force for your content creation. Of course, consistency matters the most.
Yeah.
Putting out quality and quantity content at the beginning really works. Being active on both platforms, YouTube and Instagram, also really helps. But at the same time, understanding your niche and understanding your audience and creating content for your audience, what they want to see. Because while you're in that journey, you will also understand what you like creating the most.
Right.
That will give you that edge, and you need to stand out. So you need to understand what is it that's making you stand out. Maybe it's the way you speak, maybe it's the way you're shooting your content, maybe it's the way you're editing, and that will be your
game changer. Right. Prableen, on that note, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, with that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. You don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching ET Now Hangouts with me, Ankita Saxena. Well, it's time to catch on the trend then. Well, it's wedding season and also the party season has got started, and we like to capture every moment of that in pictures. And so we have decided to get celebrity photographer Rahul Jhangiani to tell us how to prepare for a wedding photo shoot, tips on photography for beginners so that you can up your Instagram game. Well, Rahul, welcome to ET Now Hangouts. So good to have you on the show. Well, Rahul, to begin with, for the beginners, what are the things to keep in mind while preparing for a photo shoot for Instagram or for a wedding shoot? It is wedding season. Tell us, give us some tips on how can we get started? How do we prepare for it?
Thank you for having me on board. Okay. So usually with us, it's just always essential to be pre-planned and to know exactly what you're shooting. So we start off by creating a mood board. A mood board is basically an ideation, basically concepts and ideas of what exactly you're shooting. When you're actually going on set, no matter what you plan, you obviously shoot whatever, you capture the perfect frame that comes your way. But it's always better just to be pre-planned so you're well aware about what you're going to be shooting at the back of your mind on set.
Right. Rahul, what have been your takeaways from all the photo shoots that you have done, not just with celebrities, but also with brands over the years?
I think the most important thing is to obviously be patient. You have to deliver great work for people to see your work and for people to come back to you. Just to break through the commercial market, it's so easy now to become a photographer with the advancing technology that it's very important to focus on your style and for your work to really stand out, which comes with a lot of patience, which comes with a lot of hard work. So I think, patience is the key for sure, as well as working hard and making sure your work stands out from the rest.
Right. Also, Rahul, we are a show for the young and the restless, and nowadays photography is something that the new generation really loves to do. But what does it take to make a professional career out of it? Could you give us some tips on that?
The most important thing to be a photographer is to shoot amazing images, which is the key point and something that nobody should forget. So I think your primary focus is for you to love what you do, which is photography. When I started off, I wouldn't leave the camera for even a moment. So it's really important just to be passionate about, what you love doing, which is photography. So the key to start off is to create an amazing bank of images, which is by shooting continuously, by shooting, different subjects around you, depending on the field of photography that you want to get into, the genre of photography that you want to get into, and creating a work portfolio that people can have a look at for people to start commissioning, basically commercial projects to you. And also with the help of social media now, if your work is good, it's so easy for your work to stand out. So I think the key point is to just keep shooting amazing images, to collaborate with like-minded people around you, to build a great team, to create amazing imagery for your work to stand out. But also it's very important to discover your own style of photography. Not keep doing things that everybody else is doing, because why would they hire you? So the whole idea is to also create your own style of photography to make your work stand out, and just to keep shooting images.
Well, Rahul, give us a few tips for the beginners who are trying their hand at photography, especially from a normal phone, be it an Android or an iPhone, because we usually take pictures from our phones to post it on Instagram. So what are the tips or what are the tricks that we can use, to get better pictures?
So, with the advancing technology, you can shoot professional images using a smartphone. Your smartphone has all the features that the DSLRs that we use have. You can shoot amazingly perfect images using a smartphone. There are obviously, you need to learn the basics of photography just for you to shoot images. Get basics like the rule of thirds, just very basic things about exposure, about light, where's the source of light, how do you bounce light, how do you manipulate light. That's the basic idea of photography that anybody needs to learn. Also, there are some great apps that you can use to manipulate your images these days for images to look a lot better. I feel the work has gotten a lot more easier, but again, yet challenging, because everybody can do this now. It's, there's no more hack to do like a really long course in photography for you to start shooting images. It's really easy, and it's really handy to use a smartphone and to, press a button and shoot images with automated settings. But again, for your work to really stand out, you need to figure out your style of photography, and also keep shooting images.
Right, Rahul, you generally shoot for lifestyle and fashion brands, and you also collaborate with brands. Now, to get that perfect shot, what is your creative process? What do you go through? What are the prerequisites?
So when it comes to commercial jobs, like for example, we're shooting for a brand, or we're shooting for a celebrity that endorses a brand. It's a creative process wherein the creative agency comes up with a concept that will suit marketing the brand. Then they'll get the team on board, which is the photographer, hair, makeup, stylist, the production house that coordinates and loops in the entire team. We then work on a mood board and the concept of the shoot, which is a creative mutual discussion between the entire team to make sure it also works perfectly for the client, as well as our creative inputs are also added into it. So this is all pre-planned, and all this happens before the shoot. At the shoot, I think we're well aware about what we need to shoot. The celebrity or the subject is well aware about how they're going to be shot, what they're wearing. After the images are shot, it goes through a post-production treatment. And then they get designed and released by the brand.
All right, Rahul, thank you so much for giving us those tips. Thank you so much for joining us today. And well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of ET Now Hangouts. I'll be back next week with some more interesting conversations, the latest trends, and what's hot in the market.